Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Really excited here. Look, we wanted to do another video here. You can see I got my good buddy Sky Barkus here with us today again to kind of chime in on this vlog, but really wanted to highlight a couple key things and why our family made the decision on the new Tesla Model Y. So very exciting video. Let's go ahead and dive in.
Yeah. Yeah. So, by the way, Leon, there are all these great electric cars out there now, like the Rivian, SUV, the Lucid, the Mustang
Mhm.
Mach-E. They're really good choices, a lot of variety, really interesting. Why did you circle on back to Tesla? I know you had
Yeah.
Teslas for a while, but why Tesla again?
Yeah, great question. So just our history with Tesla, real quick. We bought one of the first Teslas that came out. We didn't get the 2012 Model S that came out, but we did get the 2016 Tesla Model X, which was one of the first Model X's. And overall, just really fell in love with the brand and my family in general. We do a lot of road trips. So I've been with the brand for a while. Around 2020, I ordered a Tesla Model S and I leased that, which I did a majority of my videos on. That car turned out to be an amazing road trip car. I mean, just one of the best road trip cars I've ever driven, even over gasoline cars. It was an amazing car. So we really love that a lot. A lot of our friends have Teslas, and overall, they've all been very, very happy with them. Of course, there's a lot of little things like build quality or, are the panel gaps lining up perfectly? I think in general, when you're mass producing those cars, you get a lot of those kinds of issues. But overall, when I look at all the other cars that are on the market, it's always been a very, very tough decision. But we leaned a lot more towards Tesla because of the success that we've had with Tesla. The little negative things about Tesla didn't really bother us a lot. We were looking at the Rivians, especially the new SUV Rivian. We looked at the Lucids because of the range on Lucids and looked like a nicer, higher end Model S. Really, really nice. We even looked at the Ford Mach E. A lot of things like that. So it's difficult. Some of the new Volvos that are coming out are pretty cool. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the current EV market right now, Sky, and what you've seen kind of come out? Anything spark your interest?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely getting more competitive, with, everybody, a lot of brands are coming out with cars that have similar charge rates to, Tesla with the, 250 kilowatt and up. It's definitely getting a lot more competitive out there. When I'm looking at cars for myself, I currently own a 2022 Model 3, as I've mentioned in
Yeah.
a previous videos, and it's just so convenient to be able to charge it in so many places. I still worry a little bit about the other public charging networks. So, Tesla's kind of that comfortable spot for me. But I'll tell you, some of the other cars, seeing the new styling, a lot of different features, things like that. It's tempting to look at the other vehicles out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, one of the things I was looking at was just the rate of charging and the size of the battery. And it's interesting that you mentioned that because a lot of the new guys developing cars all have very high charge rates. Tesla's always had a really high charge rate at around 250 kilowatts. So it's been good. One thing that was interesting though is even like the Ford Mach E, the fastest it can charge is 150 kilowatts, which is really low, and I think, just, having Tesla since 2016 overall, my 2016 version will only charge up to 150 kilowatts, but it's 9 years old. All the new Teslas will do at least 250, and
Right.
that also was one of the reasons we went with Tesla. So yeah.
Mhm.
So beyond the charge rate is the supercharging network, and we've talked about that a lot. My family, again, we mostly use our car around town. So there's a lot of 30-minute drive here, come home for an hour, do another 30-minute drive, come home. do this. And a lot of it is just the age of our kids and driving them to sports or, dance activities with my daughter or whatever it may be that's happening multiple times a day, after school, things like that, or even before school, or running them to a dentist appointment or orthodontist appointment or whatever it may be. So a lot of it is these little jumps around town here and there multiple times. And then we do a lot of road trips, as my channel knows. You guys know that we like to do a good 4 to 5 road trips a year. So that situation is that a supercharging network is critical for us. And on my channel, we've had one or two really bad situations in the supercharging network, but for the most part, we've been to them hundreds of times over the years, and they've all been extremely reliable. I hear all these horror stories of guys pulling up with a Rivian and they can't turn their car around because the cables aren't reaching right. And then there's a lot of other EV providers that you just don't know about the supercharging. You hear about the other, supercharging networks that are out there, and they sound horrible. I've heard stories that people are driving and then they're stranded and they can't charge at all.
Yeah. Well, one of the things about those other networks is a lot of the funding for those came from the settlement with Volkswagen with the whole Dieselgate thing. And basically what happened is they got all this money to build them, but the maintenance plan for taking care of them was not thought out as well as it should have been. So it's getting a lot better lately. I've heard, much better experiences from people on charging and, like Charge America and the other networks and so forth. But yeah, the original kind of plan wasn't as well thought out as the supercharger network for Tesla.
Yeah, and I think all of them are going to catch up, which is going to be fantastic. I think they're going to get better and better and better now that people are really relying on these networks. And if you think about it, it's a great way for them to make money. So it's never, if anything, we're going to have more and more electric cars. So it's just a matter of time. So they'll get better. So I think supercharging, reliability, and then the final, which frankly none of the competitors could compare with, is full self-driving. I mean, when we started using full self-driving, 13, the version 13, and I did a whole bunch of videos on 12.5 all the way up to 13 in my Model S before I had to return it with the lease return. And overall, the FSD is just incredible. I mean, and nothing else really compares to it just yet at all. I looked at a lot of video vlogs of people using GM's kind of version of full self-driving to Ford's version of that. And they just seem like they don't even get close to it. So my wife and I both discussed it a lot. Like, honestly, the car that we would have leaned on, I think that came in a very close second, that's not a Tesla, because there's two Teslas that we were trying to figure out. But the one that came in second was the Rivian SUV, mainly because of the size of it. Like, we like a little bit of a bigger car. The size of it was great. But again, not having FSD, that's what pushed us back into Tesla. So it was a really hard decision for us.
And you guys use the full self-driving quite a bit when you're,
we definitely,
when you're going places?
Yeah, definitely do on road trips more than driving around town here and there.
Sure.
But yeah, on the road trips, absolutely. And it's really, really good with that. And, again, it's really perfected. If any of you haven't tried, full self-driving, at least the version 13, you really got to do it. I mean, it's a gigantic difference and pretty amazing. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, but let's dive in and I want to talk a little bit about why the Model Y versus a new Model X. For those of you that know, we have a 2016 Model X. As I mentioned, it's about 9 years old. It's gotten old. The battery will only go up to about 210 miles now. I think when we first got it, it was about 250, 260. So it has degraded over the 9 years, which is expected from any electric car. But we really were struggling quite a bit with the new Model Y, as you know, we ended up going with, versus just a new Model X. But the Model X has not really changed that much at all in the last couple of years. You know, it's the same style and everything. We've enjoyed the Model X a lot, but at the end of the day, there's a couple key things that really moved us to this Model Y. One is that overall the Model Y has just become more luxurious now with higher end aesthetics inside the cabin. You know, it's got heated and ventilated seats now. It's got the LED light bar in the internal part of the car. You know, of course it does. You have that inside camera as well as the outside cameras. So does the Model X, though, in that category. But the Model Y has really jumped up with its capabilities. I'll say a negative on the Model X, in our opinion, after having one for 9 years, are the doors. Believe it or not, it's kind of funny I'm saying that because a lot of people buy the Model X for those doors. And I'll tell you, living with those doors for 9 years, here's the thing. You first get them, doors are kind of cool. It's like a party favor. Everyone likes to see them. Everyone likes to do them. But here's the thing that happens with those doors. It's impossible to really live with. One, they take longer to open and shut. So you're always waiting for them to open or shut. You can't just like get going. Two, you can't put anything on top of the car. You know, if you have a storage unit and you're on a big road trip, you can't put anything on the top of the car. If you're going to go skiing, you can't put anything on the top of the car. So the top of the car is worthless. In a Model X, you can't do anything with it. So that really sucks.
Yeah.
The one thing we did like about the Model X was the third row. And there is a little bit of room for your legs there. I mean, people like you and me, Sky, wouldn't sit there longer than 15 minutes, but you can. You and I can get back there. And for you know, my daughter who's 13, she's got no problems back there, and doesn't mind sitting back there. And the Model Y does, well, the old Model Y does have a third row. So the rumor is the new Model Y will have a third row eventually, but they don't have it in the, obviously, the launch series. That's probably one of those features they'll roll out with in another, 3 to 6 months from now is my guess. But my friend has the old Model Y with the third row, and there's literally no leg room. So to get any leg room in that third row, you have to move the second row up considerably. And I sat in that second row up, and there's like no room, and then there's no room in the third row. So it kind of makes the whole thing useless, honestly.
It's a really small vehicle for having a third row of seats. I think it's more of a marketing thing than a practicality item,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So the seats. The other thing about the seats in the Model X, which are really interesting, is like the format we loved in the Model X was 2 seats in the second row and the third row, with the middle of the second row being empty. So you can just kind of come in and wiggle your way back real quick. And that's a nice setup. But that setup won't let you put the second row seats flat down. And so then you got this SUV and you can't put anything in the back of it. Like, on occasions throughout the year, we might have to go out and buy, a new TV or something big, or we need to go to Home Depot and buy some storage things. And we want to put the back seats down to fit stuff in the back of the car, right? Well, with those seats that the Model X has, you can't lay them flat. The only way to get the flat seats is to order the other seat configuration. So they do have a seat configuration that will lay flat, but it's expensive now. Now you're paying an extra $6,500 for a different seat configuration. So you add that
Oh,
to the doors, and the seats were big deterrents for us getting the Model X. And then the last one that just is the car's about twice the price as the Model Y.
mm,
And, you know, I don't really know what Tesla's going to do
significant.
with the Model S or the Model X long term. Obviously they like the Model Y and the Model 3 because they're selling hundreds of thousands of them a year, and it's more of a volume play for them. And I get that, but you just don't know what they're going to do with the Model X or the Model S longer term. So it's harder to know.
Yeah.
They do feel slightly more luxurious though. But again, with all the great things that the Model Y has going for it now, I feel like the Model Y is definitely more luxurious than the old Model Y, and even over the new Model 3, I think it's slightly more luxurious. So,
Mm, makes sense.
yeah. So those are kind of the key reasons we ended up kind of going with the Model Y here over just another Model X. Um,
Hmm.
so then it was like, okay, do we want the new one or do we want the old one? And it's
Hmm.
interesting. Tesla put up this really nice comparison here we can kind of look at. So this is the older Model Y and then the new Model Y. So there's definitely a price difference as you would expect in general. But now when you look at the different options that are down below as a comparison here, it's interesting. So right now, they just have
Hmm.
the launch series, which is the long ranged version of the all-wheel drive. But they will, they're going to roll out with their other versions. They'll have a performance model. They'll have
Hmm.
probably another long ranged version or two, just a rear wheel drive version so that they can bring price point down a little bit.
Hmm.
So I'm sure a lot of those types of things will come into play.
Be kind of crazy if they did a plaid too, huh?
Yeah, that's probably going to be their
Model Y
performance.
plaid. You
Yeah,
never know. Tesla gets crazy like that sometimes.
yeah,
So a Model Y plaid would be a little screamer.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
I know a few people that have a Model Y Performance or the Model 3 Performance. The Model 3
Hmm.
Performance is pretty badass, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
It's
I've
a
heard. Yeah.
nimble little car. It moves, man. It's cool. I mean, you drive a
Mm.
Model 3, so you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, even my long range, it's when you put it in standard acceleration mode, it scoots. But yeah, I can't imagine another 50, 100 horsepower or something like the Model 3 performance has. Must be a blast. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So range, they did for the most part do a little bit of an increase. Most people are saying it's about a 3 to 4% increase, and of course this
Mm.
is going to vary depending on the rims and tires you choose. These black ones here are the more efficient rims and tires. They're I think 19 inch, and then they have a higher end rim and tire that's in silver that's a 20 inch. We ended up choosing the silver rims just because I don't know, they just to me they look better than the black ones that are more efficient. So we're not going to quite get this kind of mileage on it.
Mhm.
This is in perfect situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
they
you'll probably get more like the 303, the lower end right now.
yeah
And then, when they come out with the other models, obviously they'll probably have a wider range. I'll bet one of them will get up to that 337, like the current model, pretty easily. But, with the launch edition, it's pretty optioned up and everything. So it's not designed to be the most efficient one of all of them.
right yep.
Yeah.
Seating, they did a lot with the seats. The old
Hmm.
seats, you had powered seats that would recline and be heated. Now they have, the power recline, obviously, but they have heated and ventilated. And, living in
Hmm.
California, I mean, we're not the hottest part of California, but it does get, pretty toasty over July and August here. And having the ventilated seats is a big deal. I mean, that's actually a nice luxurious item. I'll tell you that in ventilated seats, even in my Model S
Hmm.
and my old 9-year-old Model X and the new S that I got, ventilated seats just worked okay. They were never great ventilated seats. So we'll see how well they work here in the Model Y. I'll definitely do a video on that. So that's interesting. But the second option here, the power two-way folding and heated seats in the second row, that really the whole powered two-way folding is huge feature. I always wish that this feature was available on the Model X, or even the Model S. It would have been really cool. But this is a really awesome feature to have.
Yeah, the previous video we have some video in there showing them moving and everything. It's nice. They're not too slow and it's super convenient, so you don't have to like climb in and pull them back
Yeah.
up and everything like that. So
Yeah.
very very cool feature.
And then the displays, we've got the 15.4-inch front row display. It's like I think it's an OLED display, but the displays are beautiful in Teslas. They really, really are. So that's the same. The second row one is good. I'll be honest with you though. I had this in my Model S for my 3-year lease that I had that Model S on. And to be honest with you, I don't think we rarely ever use that. The screen's a little low, so you're not gonna if you're sitting in the back seat, you don't want to bend your head down and just stare at the screen. The one convenient thing that screen is good for is controlling your heated seats in the second row or changing the fan temperature back there if it's really warm or really cool. So that's good. You can also control that on the front panel if you're the driver and you want to have the climate control back there a little bit better. And we do that quite a bit, especially when the dog's in the back and we want to cool him off a little bit more than the front. So it's nice, but you can do that from the front console as well. So yeah, I can't imagine this screen in the back ever being a really big thing. So like, it's someone like you that you have your Model 3, you probably don't even need this at all just because it's not really, So
Yeah, not really something I need very much. And I have passengers in the back every now and then, but being a single guy with grown-up kids, I don't need a lot of entertainment or special stuff going on in the back seat.
Right. Yeah. So then we got the ride comfort and the suspension, and there's no way really knowing, how good this is going to be other than the fact that it's the second generation. You would imagine that they listened to their customers and probably made a pretty big improvement in the suspension. And then the other one that's kind of exciting is the noise reduction. They probably did a much better job of insulation. I know the glass in the car's more insulated glass, so that's kind of exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and like with the noise reduction and stuff, it does make a big difference. Like, they say both of them have the noise reduction and suspension, but the new Model Y, if you read the actual driving reviews and so forth, it's really more of a there's a much larger noise reduction and just kind of feel of refinement too. And that they don't really. I'm actually surprised they don't kind of note that even a little bit more here, because supposedly it's pretty significant.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because some people that makes a gigantic difference, and for me it will, because again this is another thing they can do to make the Y feel more luxurious, like an X. So I like it. I mean, and we're thrilled. So the next is the cameras, and usually, these are mostly used for full self-driving or changing lanes and looking in your blind spot, all that kind of stuff. This new front-facing camera, the only other Tesla this is on is the Cybertruck. And so we don't know exactly what this new front-facing camera is really gonna do. It will give you a front view of the car if you're looking at it through the console. But the question is, my guess is it's going to do more. Maybe it's going to make parking, like the automatic parking, better. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see what they do. I saw a rumor from another YouTuber mention that they were going to put that front-facing camera in the new Model 3 when they rolled that out about a year ago, and they ended up scrapping that during production for some reason. But it is in the Cybertruck, and I heard it's in the Robo Taxi also, but we don't know that 100% sure. So it is kind of interesting what they'll do with that. So
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't heard a whole lot about that, but I'm sure that they're gonna keep, how Tesla is.
yeah,
They have all that hardware and they keep expanding on it, and doing cool new features. So it's probably gonna help with the FSD as well as, they might spring some other nifty feature out of it as well.
exactly. Yeah, we'll see. Audio, that's a big thing for a lot of people, but I'll tell you this, Tesla's always had pretty darn good audio, and everything, the speaker quality, the music quality has been good. I mean, look, it's not as nice as my Bose system in my 2023 992 911 Porsche, right? But that's a really high-end audio system. But I'll tell you, this audio system is still a lot better than the average audio systems. Like even in your car, which is the older generation of the Model 3, it's pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Again, I have a Porsche also with the Bose
Yeah,
system, and I haven't had any car that beats that. But
right.
for the price range of a car like this, it's a really nice audio system. It works well, has really good sound staging on the front. You don't really notice where the sound is coming
Right.
from, which is really important. So yeah, and then the bass response is really good as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I haven't heard the system, the couple additional speakers system in the new version, but my brother-in-law and my sister have the new Model 3 that I believe has that same system, and he said it's one of the best systems he's heard in a car, which just sounds, I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, totally. And we're two guys that were really into stereo systems when we were back in high school and everything,
Yeah.
right? So we had the CD changers and all that kind of stuff. And I know you and I have talked about that a lot. So stereo systems are a really important part of a car, I believe. And but yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. It's 15 speakers now and a subwoofer, 16 speakers. That sounds ridiculous. Remember when we were in high school? Like if I had separates in the front and then some 16 by 9s in the back and like an 8 or a 10-inch subwoofer, that would have been considered amazing. Now we
Yeah.
have cars with 16 speakers. It's crazy.
Yeah. I know it's nuts, and I don't know that necessarily that more and more and more speakers, like some Range Rovers have like 25 speakers or something like that
Yeah.
in them, and I'm like, is that really necessary? Because I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
You just have to go and sit in the car and listen, because
Yeah.
some system with fewer speakers can actually sound as good as one with more speakers. It just depends on how well developed it was.
Exactly. Totally. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Mhm.
So we'll see. We'll definitely do a video on that and highlight the system's connectivity. So my guess is this is just like, it's gonna, I'm sure the older version did, whatever cellular connectivity and Wi-Fi connectivity. I'm sure the new one is like the latest, cell speed 5G. And then you're probably looking at Wi-Fi 6 enabled. I don't know. This is something I'll look more into, but you want a good Wi-Fi network because when you come home, that's how you're going to get most of your software updates in the car. And if any of you have never owned a Tesla, I will tell you that software updates are like getting a little Christmas gift, at least.
Mhm.
And how often they come out? They come out very frequently. Like you'll at
Yeah.
least get one software update every 2 weeks a lot of times. And at least once a month, I would say you're getting something that actually enriches your life. And that's kind of the little Christmas gift idea that I was mentioning. You always feel like, oh, now they got this, or oh, now they got this. It's pretty cool. And sometimes they're little, like all of a sudden Spotify is integrated. But I'm a
Yeah.
Spotify guy and our family uses Spotify, so it's awesome for us. You know what I mean? Little things like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for sure. It's always fun. I always get excited when I see that software update scheduled for tonight. I'm like, oh, I wonder what's going to come in this time. And they have release notes. A lot of times it's just security stuff. But, like the middle of last year, it was a pretty major redesign of the UI, which is
Right.
really fun. So I can't wait to see what they keep doing. Even and the thing is, they do it even on the older models. Mine's a few years old now, but I still get all these
Right.
cool software updates. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what's cool is even buying an older one, you're gonna still get that. You still get that kind of Christmas feeling. I think that's one of the best things about the Tesla brand, honestly. So
Mhm.
it's just
Yeah.
they're nailing it. Um, the trunk. Now this one is interesting. So there's a hands-free power open on approach. My guess
Mhm.
is you got your cell phone in your pocket and it's doing that through Bluetooth. The question is, how good is this going to work? Because, sometimes when you're approaching your car from the side, you're going to go and just open up the driver's door and get in the car and leave, right? But is this going to open up the trunk automatically, or do you have to be like standing within 3 feet of the trunk and then it opens automatically? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll have to see like what the actual range is, because I know with my phone, I've got if I have it in my back pocket and I'm unlocking the car, sometimes I have to like turn myself around so the phone is closer to the car to open the
Yeah,
door. So I'm wondering, like, yeah, what the distance is for this. Obviously, this is going to be a setting whether you want this or not, because some
right.
people might not want the trunk to open when they walk up to the back of the car, especially if they park head in and they're always coming from that direction.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they handle this.
Yeah, yeah, we'll definitely do a video on that and how well that works and all that. So, interior,
Mhm.
there's a lot of changes, but a lot of these changes in the interior are also in the new Model 3. Sorry.
Yeah.
So you're going to get a lot of these, but again, looking forward to them. I've never had a Model 3s, but the ambient lighting, even in the footwell, is
Mhm.
going to be very nice. Again, and
Yep.
something that I would put up in that more of a luxurious item for a car. The ambient wraparound lighting in the interior. We're going to go to a video clip here in a second, so we'll be able to highlight this a little bit more for y'all. But this is really nice, I think. The one thing I'm really curious about is because my wife and I both drive this car and we both have different profile settings. I'm really curious if like I can set my ambient light to like blue and my wife sets hers to like green or something. And then when you get in the car, if I'm the primary profile and driving the car, my wife's just riding along, that it would be blue. And likewise, when she's the driver, it would be green. That would be
Yeah, I
totally
can I
cool.
can answer that question
Oh,
actually. So my sister and my brother-in-law have the new Model 3 that has this exact feature, and depending on whose profile the car is set to, that is one of the
awesome.
settings. I think my sister likes the like kind of like a purple one, and then
Yeah.
my brother-in-law likes an orange one.
Okay.
Kind of stripe going around there. So yeah, totally. That's
That's
part of your
super
profile
cool.
settings, just like the seat position and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty
And then
cool.
they have this aluminum detailing and premium textures, and that we'll look in the video again, but this is kind of the accent colors again, those also make a car feel more luxurious, a little bit closer to the what the X is without paying twice the price to get the X and then having to
Yeah.
deal with the doors in that car. Um, so this is interesting. So the how the roof is all glass. So apparently the older versions didn't have as much of a laminated safety for the glass. So that'll be interesting. And then it's also tinted more, which I didn't realize how big of an issue that was. I had a full glass roof in my Model S, but
Mhm.
what they say is like if you're you go shopping on a summer day, you park the car outside and the sun's hitting it, that glass acts as a magnifying glass and overheats the inside of the cabin. Now you can use like dog mode to keep the cabin at a lower temperature and things like that, but you're going to use battery up to do that. Of course, if our dog was
Right.
in the car, we would, but if you're just in there shopping and there's nothing in the car, it really heats up the car. So it sounds like they've added in more tinted elements in there to keep the temperature down, considerably. So that's good.
Yeah, and this is also that laminated safety glass on the on the cabin windows as well. That's one of the things that makes it a lot quieter inside
Right.
too. So
Right.
yeah, the tinting definitely is a big thing, but that multi-layer laminated glass is a really big factor in lowering the cabin volume when you're cruising down the street. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then this will be interesting. The air vents back there looks like they probably made some adjustments there with the air vents. But again, we'll have to wait and see what that's like when we really get in. So,
Well, it's probably, you know how like when you go on the screen and you're adjusting the angle of the front ones, I'll
yeah,
bet you can do that on the back now, how you
right,
slide your finger to aim the air and up and down and side to side. So probably did that along with that whole upgrade with the screen and the back console and everything.
right. Okay, let's take a look at the quick details here, real quick. So this is a vlogger that I follow. This is a Dennis CW. If any of you guys don't know him, there's a shout out for you. Dennis, I watch you almost every day. This guy is awesome, man. He's a California guy, but he highlights a lot of. I think he lives in LA, if I'm correct, but he highlights a lot of good deals on Tesla, and he looks at all the inventories. And if you're looking at getting a good financial deal, he's a really good guy. Tells it by the book, and gives his opinion when needed. But I like him a lot. I definitely subscribe to him and follow him. And you want to get the latest juice on him, I definitely suggest to my audience to look at him and follow him. So he's a great guy. Anyways, he went into this North Hollywood area, and they had a new Tesla Model Y. In fact, for those of you that may want to tune in, I'm going to go look at one today and try to get some video footage of it. So if I'm successful with that, you'll see that video come out after this a few days later. So take a look for that, and hopefully I can get real footage and give you guys my opinion. But wanted to bring this up so we can kind of look at a couple things here that he's highlighting. He's here kind of pointing out the light bar, and then the camera. There's a camera down here now. That's that front facing camera right here. So
Mm-hmm.
that'll be interesting to see again what that thing will do. But I really like the design aesthetics on this. I think it's a lot nicer looking than the new Model 3 even. So I think it looks good. I like the light bar in there. It doesn't look as radical as like the Cybertruck and out there, but I kind of like that element. Who knows, in a couple of years it might get kind of tired looking, but I like it. What are your thoughts on the light bar, Sky? Do you like it?
It's cool. It's a nice new modern feature you're starting to see on a couple of new cars. There are a couple of Hyundais out there that have it that looks pretty cool. I think it's going to catch on more, just like a rear light bar has caught on a ton of cars over the past 5 years or something like that. So
Yeah.
that might be kind of like the new LED. As soon as everybody started doing LED on the headlights, it was like all cars have LEDs
Yeah.
around the headlights, and this might be a new trend for the front of the car. One thing that that bar does is it does give the illusion of making it look a little wider in
Yeah.
the front, which
Good
that can
point.
be a good or a bad thing depending on how you view it and what type of car it is. So
Absolutely. Great point. I paused it here on the video. You can see the camera right here. And
mhm.
I guess a lot of people that saw this said there is water cleaner for the camera face, which is really nice. So for those of you that don't know, if your FSD does get clouded with a lot of debris or dust from the road, I imagine people that live in climates like you, Sky, in Utah, where it snows a lot, these cameras
Mhm.
can get covered a lot with kind of just winter junk on the road. And
Yeah.
then it kind of will disable part of your full self driving. So to have a button you can press in the car to clean off your cameras can be a gigantic thing. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it's not going to really
Yeah, I
help
get
me, but maybe
I,
you in Utah.
yeah, I get warnings on my screen a lot of times that say parking assist may be degraded, or side camera is currently obstructed, or and then if I do backing up, I'll see the backup camera's got
Yeah,
a bunch of salt and mud and crap on it. So yeah, that definitely is a cool thing.
yeah, yeah. So he's kind of pointing out the rims here. I'm not not a fan of the 19-inch. I don't know. To me, that doesn't do it. I like the 20-inch they offer. So that's why we end up going with 20-inch. And I can't tell if I want the silver or the black. I think we're leaning more towards the silver. Looks better. But I don't know. You've always been kind of a black rim guy with your cars. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, not so much. Okay, so this may sound funny because my Porsche is silver with black rims, but it depends on the color. Like I have a red Model 3 and I really like the black rims on that. But on
Sure.
silver, I tend to prefer silver wheels. So I think it was a great choice you guys decided to go with to put the 20-inch silver wheels on your Model Y that's in the getting made now. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Camera is still, there, and they still have the black highlights, there, and then obviously around the window sills, black highlights, and then the door handles also. So that's pretty cool. Here, he's just pointing out the door sills. Obviously, you can see that just glorious looking LED light there. And then I think the overall fabrics and everything are just, a lot nicer, more luxurious. Um, Again, look, he's kind of talking about the light bar. This is a great video to pick up on if you can see the title here, but if you want to get the details from him, definitely, definitely highlighted this video is a good one. But here you got a nice cloth here. You've got a really nice speaker. Then you have this kind of suede, leather here, and then the light bar that cuts all the way through. It's pretty nice. I mean,
Yeah, good details.
yeah. Down here, I love these charge pads down here. I just love these.
Mhm.
This is so convenient. And then this is one of the the interior accents that it's a little more luxurious that they're kind of pointing out on that website, but it's just a silver accent kind of wrapped in that vegan leather. And it says launch series on it.
Yeah.
Oh, the here's a shot of the well, that's not a very good one there, but here's a shot. Let's see if I can get it to here. Yeah, a shot of I can't get it, but you can see it here. The new floor mats, whatever. They're floor mats. Compartment in the middle. Tesla's always been really good at storage and all their little cubbies that are available throughout the car.
Yeah.
It's kind of pointing out the roof here. Let's see. Oh, this I really wanted to show. So this is one of the best new features in here. Is just I'm gonna let this run a little bit, but you can see how it brings the seat down with the motorized thing, and then it will automatically go back up, and it's pretty fast. I mean, it's a lot faster than you might think, but it does a really good job of doing that. And then it actually pushed this seat up a little bit when this came down to make room for it to come down. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But I like that a lot.
Yeah. Definitely convenient.
Yeah. He's kind of pointing out the light bar, which is one of the most visually new recognizable things, but it's kind of weird. It shoots down and then reflects off and comes out.
Hmm.
So that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
That's the launch badge. But that new tail light thing, that's where the license plate's going to go because there's kind of lights reflecting on it. So pretty interesting. That I've seen a shot of this rear reflector at night, where you're just looking at the back of the car like 50 feet away at night. It looks insanely cool. It really does. It really
Yeah,
does
that's
look.
definitely a new way of doing things. I don't think anybody else has done that kind of reflective projection type of light like that before. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing one of those in person.
Yeah. So apparently the handle to open this is right here where his hand is right now. And you'll see he's going to open it. Of course, it's power lifted. and then the, power lift up, power lift down, and then you have this element. He does this kind of wrong in the beginning, but he kind of works it out here in a second. But there's a very simple way to control that, and then he's kind of hitting the seats here. Having those buttons in the rear are awesome. There he goes. So you can see it kind of folds in, makes it pretty
cool.
easy. And then you got all this cubby space here, another one here. It's
That
got
extra one up there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. My Model 3 only has the one in the very back there. That extra one's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
And for any of you that sleep in the back of your car on trips,
Yeah.
I've done that before. It's awesome in camp mode. You can put the car in camp mode and it's incredibly awesome. But this car will be a little bit shorter than my Model S was. But you'll still fit. I actually looked it up, and there's a lot of guys that have done it in the older version of the Model Y. So this one's slightly longer. I think it's something like 40 millimeters longer, so it's not that much longer. But you should be able to sit in there. So
Nice.
yeah, I just love that ring, how it just circles around the entire interior. Though it's just, I mean,
Yeah.
wow, that is so
You can
cool.
set it to different. You can set it to different colors, and then you can actually have it cycle through different
Yeah.
colors as one of the modes too. So it's kind of fun.
So he
Yeah.
hit that camera button on his car, and it brings up those cameras instantly. You got your headlights, your wipers, your control things. You got a real horn, by the way. The reason I'm saying that is because when I got my Model S, you couldn't hit the middle of the car to hit the horn. You had to. I'm going to go back here a little bit. You had to hit a button on the steering wheel to hit the horn. It was horrible. So
Yeah, the Model 3, my Model 3 has a horn in the middle. So it's,
Yeah.
I think the Model 3 has always had it. But yeah, it's not as satisfying to go beep, beep, like that than to,
Oh yeah, I'll tell you, it was a pain. I think the Model S came out before the new Model 3. And when they had the yoke thing on the Model S, and then they had the blinkers that were the push buttons. I got really used to the blinkers. I like that. The thing I hated though was having the button as the horn rather than the middle of the car being the horn. And I still don't know why they did that, but it sounds like they did fix it in the new Model 3, where the middle part is the horn. In this car, they did it for sure. But that was always a pet peeve of mine in the Model S. Small one, but it did make a difference. So
Sure. Yeah.
the other thing that's really interesting is that they brought the turn signal stock back. And what's interesting about that is, remember that they had the push button stock. So now on the steering wheel. So now they brought the stock back for the turn indicator. And I think that's a great thing. I don't mind that. I didn't mind the push buttons on the steering wheel as well. So either way, I'm good with it. I don't know.
Yeah, I hope the actuation's better though, because so the new Model 3, as some of you may know, has just the buttons for the turn signals. I was really skeptical about it at first, but I drove my sister and my brother-in-law's new Model 3, and it actually works very well. The turn signals on my Model 3, it's the 2022, it has the full stock, and I don't know, just the action of it's a little weird. So I'm hoping this one's a little more, positive and quicker throws and things on it. We'll see.
Right. Yeah. Cool. Well, those are some of the key things we wanted to highlight, but we really wanted to put this video together again to really answer a lot of the other detailed questions of like why we chose the Model Y, why we chose Tesla over a lot of the other great brands that are out there and available today. And then, why the Model Y over the Model X, which was also really important. So wanted to really get those key questions answered for you all. And really looking forward to getting this car. They're saying maybe in March we'll get it. I think we did order this within 3 to 4 hours from when Tesla made them available. And given that we live about 30 miles from the Fremont factory, I think we'll be one of the first few to get it. But we'll see. The part that makes me nervous is I heard that when this car launched in China last week, Something like over 4 or 5 days, they got over 100,000 orders on this car.
Yeah,
And so
pretty crazy.
that kind of makes me a little nervous that, we might be order number 30,000 or something. I don't know. And so, who knows when we'll get it? You know what I mean? But we've got some road trips already planned for the spring and the summer. So I'm really hoping we're going to get it and be able to create videos on that and obviously highlight them here on the channel. So, yeah.
Yeah, and just one last point I want to bring up. This is a pretty important one for any of you that are saying, "Gosh, do I want the old one? Do I want the new model?" The old one, you can get an older Model 3, sorry, older Model Y with, certain options still for less money than this new
Oh,
Model
yeah.
Y launch edition. But so Leon and I did kind of an apples to apples comparison of like optioning up a Model Y, an older Model Y to the newer one. And the newer one still comes out maybe 2 or 3 grand more with apples to apples on the option. The performance is pretty similar, but one thing you really got to remember is the new one's quieter. It handles better. It's got the newer convenience features like those power folding rear seats, and that's worth way more than $2,000 or $3,000. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if it were me, I would spend the extra money, or I would wait for once they come out with a new version, but a lower line model. If I didn't have I think the new one, it says it starts at 46 something, but just on paper, if you go to the website, it's like, oh, 30 something versus 40 something. It's like, no. Think about all the options, compare it, and then look at the new convenience and features and the quiet cabin, all that stuff, the new stereo. That is not optional. It's just stuff that you only get on the new version.
Yeah.
And that's like worth way more than 2 or 3
Yeah.
grand. So that's a really important factor to consider.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to impact that more, definitely if it's 100% financial as your decision, then go with the old Model Y for sure. I mean, that's an incredible deal they have.
Yeah.
When you look at the finance options for that version, way better. In fact, the finance options for this new launch series are not good. Like I've done a lot of the math, like the lease, you know what the lease interest rate is on that car? 10%.
No. Oh boy. Yeah.
10% for the lease rate. And then the finance rate, if your credit score is above 720, the finance rate is 5.99, which is a very high finance rate. So
yeah, even in today's market, that's a high rate
yeah,
for a car finance. And I mean, they're doing it because they can. It's the new
right.
cool thing. Wait a little while until the hype calms down a little bit, and you can probably start getting much better. They'll probably start offering much better deals. Around Christmas time, around December is when Tesla tends to have their special deals at the end of the year. So, if you can wait a little while, it might be worth it.
Yeah, if you can
just
wait
think
a little
about
while, you're going to get a lower interest rate. You're probably going to get the car cheaper because when they get over their big hump of all the people in the beginning that are getting them, like you're saying, around December, you're probably going to have much better. You might get a 3% interest rate. You're going to get other key things that will make it a much better deal. So it's definitely better to wait, not be one of the first to get it. So you can still get a really good deal. But if you just want a really great electric car with a really good finance deal, honestly, go look at the new Model 3 or the older Model Y. Those are both killer deals. They really are. I actually sat in a new Model 3 the other day, the new one, similar to the new Model Y. It's awesome. The new Model 3s are really a good car. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Hopefully this video has been helpful for you. Really looking forward to getting some live footage of the real car and then, of course, receiving ours. And then I'll do a ton of videos for you guys. We'll talk about a number of key things. But if you guys have any comments, most of my viewers are never shy. Put them down below. Would love to help answer any questions you may have about the car. But yeah, any comments at all, feel free. And please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great day.